Just right, and I'm going to move these here so you can see who's there.
Oh, great.
All right.
Thank you. Welcome everyone coming in remotely. And if we can just have you do a quick introduction of who you are and what you do professionally, that will help me. That will help me direct my comments to hopefully be relevant to everyone in the room.
Okay, I'm Melissa Hollick. Sorry I couldn't be there in person today. I am a HAYVN member and am right now in a little bit of a transition, trying to kind of figure out what I want to do next. I've been involved in a personal project right now.
Great, thank you. Thanks for joining.
Hi, I'm Virginia. I'm a HAYVN member as well, and I have a startup called Cobblecord that helps people cobble together personalized streaming bundles. I'm also sort of in the midst of a transition and trying to figure out how to move the startup forward and exploring some other consulting opportunities.
Great, thank you.
I may be the last one. It's hard to see on the screen here. And I also don't have my camera set up, unfortunately. Sorry, everyone. But my name is Adriana, and I'm an account director at a product design company. I'm not a HAYVN member. I'm very new to all of this. So I'm definitely, in the educational, new member kind of space here, and just looking forward to learning a lot.
Wonderful. Thanks for joining. I think that's it, right, Mola?
Yes.
Okay. Julie, you want to go next?
Hi, my name is Julie. I am not a HAYVN member, but I have been here with Eileen. I've worked with Eileen as a consultant, and I guess right now working in the executive coaching space.
Hi, I'm Shani Inez, and I'm a content coordinator for Peak Digital Marketing, a small marketing agency in LA.
I'm Susan Singer, and I have two businesses. One is called Closet Curator. I help women figure out how they want to present themselves sartorially to the world. And I also represent a line of clothing called Cabby. So I'm the person who helps you figure out how you want to look when you walk out the door in the morning.
Hi, I'm Jana Carl, friends with Susan, and I'm actually coming up on my 10-year anniversary of my own business. I do educational and career consulting, and I work with students that are in college or who have graduated from college. And my background prior to that was in human resources for several years for 2 Fortune 500 companies. And I'm excited to be here because Susan has spoken so highly of the HAYVN community, and that's what's brought me here today.
Great.
Dan Maggio, recently laid off. Yeah, I don't know what else.
You're gonna figure out your superpowers today.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, you already have one superpower. You're the man in the room. That's awesome. We like that.
What kind of industry were you in before you got?
I was in construction.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Tina Stinson. I recently left a position as Chief Operating Officer at Columbia University for the clinical services in their dental college. I have a long career in healthcare. I started as a registered nurse, got an MBA, and this is what 30 years later looks like. Because she was
not
talking
bad.
about. Well, I don't know, because now at this point I'm in really a transition and exploring a variety of opportunities and just deciding what I'm going to do next.
Awesome.
My name is Kate Brooks. I'm an interior designer. I started my company at the beginning of the year. So during COVID, after I got laid off from an architectural firm that I was working with. So now I'm on my own and doing all sorts of projects, from small facelifts, like for a single room, to full home renovations.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Well, welcome everyone. It's great to have those introductions. For many of you, I think this is an excellent time for you to be thinking about how are you going to articulate your superpowers. whether you're in transition and going on interviews, or whether you're in a new business, or even looking to progress where you are, it's always very helpful to be able to articulate what your strengths are and to be able to do it comfortably and feel like you can still be your authentic self, yet tell people what your strengths are. So I'm Eileen Springer. I'm an executive coach, and I work with people, not only people that are in transition looking for their next role, but people that are just looking to progress in their career. Maybe they're looking to get a promotion. Maybe they've been recently promoted and have to start pulling on some new strengths and skills that they didn't have to in the past. And I also work with people who are in the onboarding process, which has been particularly interesting during this remote working world the past couple of years. And I also have a background in human resources. I had a 30+ year in human resources with big corporate environments where I was primarily focused on talent acquisition, talent management, and leadership learning and development. So I bring a lot of that background and insights into what's happening in companies and how talent decisions are made to my coaching practice. And I founded Central Park Executive Coaching 3 years ago after going through a certification program at Columbia. And never looked back, actually. So someone who actually recently kind of took a big leap and made a transition myself, who wasn't good at talking about my strengths and realized that was something that you have to embrace, particularly when you're in your own business. What I would like to do is just advance the slide here.
Before you get started, those of us remotely are only seeing a sliver of the slides.
Oh,
Oh, really? Huh. Okay.
okay, thank you. We're going to see what we can do about that.
Mhm.
And while we're
I'm gonna stop sharing my screen for a minute.
okay, and while we're adjusting the slides, I'll just say that when Julie came into my business, it's been about 1.5 years now. That is a great example of being aware of what your strengths are and aren't, and what your preferences are and aren't. So when I look to bring someone in to partner with me, I really had to be honest with myself about, what wasn't my strengths, and looked for someone that could help fill the gaps and help me keep things going and be able to enjoy what I do, so I didn't feel bogged down with the things that took a lot of extra energy. So like I said, Julie's responsible for things like making presentations beautiful and helping me with social media and sort of filling all of those gaps that one would need to have in their own business, but I didn't necessarily want to spend time doing myself. Okay, hopefully we're better with the slides.
Yes.
Okay, everybody remote, are you able to see the slides now?
It's loading.
Mhm.
Okay,
Well, if you can see it floating, that's a good sign.
Yeah, there you go. Is it better now?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, great.
okay,
Good
thank
job,
you. All right, so we'll just go to the next slide. Just advance one slide. Great, thank you. All right, so we all do have superpowers. We may not necessarily think they are or perceive them as such ourselves, but we all do have some superpowers. So regardless of one situation, it's often necessary for me to help my clients identify what their superpowers are in order to better understand themselves and how they're coming across to others. So my most important message of today is that you all do have some sort of superpowers. You also have strengths, and strengths are things that you're good at. Superpowers are things that you're brilliant at. So whether you're an awesome artist or you're brilliant at resolving conflict, Your strengths are the reason that people hire you and how you add value to an organization. So the more time you spend using your strengths at work, the more impact you're going to have and the happier you're going to be in your job. Gallup actually found that employees who use their strengths at work are 6 times more effective and engaged in their roles. Most people have some idea of their strengths, but few go that extra step to identify exactly what they are. And your superpowers come from things that you're naturally good at. So those are your natural talents and the skills and behaviors that you've developed through your experiences. So I want you to think about your superpowers as the positive attributes you want your friends and colleagues to say about you when you're not in the room. That's actually my favorite interview question that I ask people. Oftentimes in interviews, I'll say, if I were to ask your colleagues to describe you, what would they say? And that would be a question in an interview that you shouldn't struggle with. You should know what people would say about you. Okay, next slide, please. So, how are we going to surface your superpowers? I have often been surprised how difficult it is for highly successful professionals to talk about their strengths. I coach people in the C-suite, CEOs, chief operating officers, chief marketing officers, who have had many years of success, and I'm blown away with how difficult it is for them to say something positive about themselves. It's really shocking. And it makes it really difficult to network and difficult to interview for jobs when you're uncomfortable talking about your strengths. And it's actually not uncommon at all to be asked what your superpowers are in an interview. And this is an answer that should roll off your tongue. Most of us have been raised to be very humble and not to brag about your successes and your abilities. However, when you're trying to establish yourself and convince an employer or a client of your abilities, the only way they're going to know about your strengths is if you tell them what they are. So for this and many other reasons, it's important for you to surface your superpowers and get comfortable being able to articulate them. So today we're going to conduct an abbreviated exercise where we're going to help one another do this. And the purpose of this is to create self-awareness based on input of others in this room and those that are participating virtually. And this is going to help us create awareness of strengths that you may be taken for granted, but that others see as your superpowers. Okay? All right.
Not intimidating at all.
So here we go. We're going to talk about your pride story. So what is pride? Pride is a feeling of deep pleasure or satisfaction derived from one's own achievements, the achievements of those with whom one is closely associated, or from qualities or possessions that are widely admired. So it's looking internally and also understanding how others view you. And this is a part where the pen and paper comes into play. For the next 5 minutes, I would like for you to reflect on an experience from your past that made you feel pride. Okay, I want you to journal a bit about it and what felt good about it. And think about an experience when you felt most authentic. So this can be a story from early adulthood. It can be personal. It can be professional. Any scenario you're proud of. And all I would ask is that you provide enough detail to give the context, what you did, and what the outcome was. It should be about a paragraph. Okay, so for example, it may be a time when you helped another person. It may be a time when you led a project at work or a time when you volunteered in your community. Really anything that brings you pride. Okay, so I'm going to put my timer on for 5 minutes and let you journal.
I can give you this. I don't think we want that, right?
Anybody have a spare pen?
I think it was mine. I'm just putting it on my phone. Yeah, I am on my phone.
Oh. Could have done that too, I guess.
Okay, just a 1-minute warning to wrap up.
Right. If I didn't even knew how I texted, 5 minutes is just clearly not enough.
Okay, everybody, here we go. So this is the part where we're gonna do this in a lightning round effect, okay? So we'll just advance the slide to the next slide. This will give you an example of what we're gonna do. We're gonna hear a story, and I want each of you to jot down what are all the strengths that you're hearing as you're hearing the story, each person's story, one word descriptors. And then when the person finishes the story, we're going to go lightning round and share with them what were the strengths that we heard, and go, from person to person, not repeating if we all wrote down the same things. Okay, everyone understand what we're doing? And we'll include the people remotely as well. Okay, so since I have a fellow HR person in the room, I'm going to pick on them first and ask, would you mind sharing your story first?
Sure, I'd be happy to.
Okay, so as you hear the story, everyone, just start jotting down the strengths that you hear.
My pride story is about working with a particular client of mine. He's a young man who, though not formally diagnosed, displays spectrum-like behaviors. His parents came to me first, and I have been working with him for over 2 years. During that time, he finished his master's in accounting. He didn't have any internships prior to our working together. And through working with me, he successfully landed an internship and subsequent offer from one of the Big 4 public accounting firms. I continue to work with him as his career coach, and he most recently passed 3 out of 4 parts of the CPA exam. We're waiting on his last result coming next month. The pride I feel regarding the impact I was able to make by working with him is immense.
Okay, so I'll just start to model what it is we're going to do, and then we'll just go around to hear the words we say. So I heard perseverance, compassionate, results-oriented, invested, and caring. Can I ask those that are participating over video to just belt out the words that you heard in addition to what I said?
I put in long-term relationship, impact, pride.
I said, I thought perceptive and ability to recognize what others can't.
Great. Anyone in the room want to add to these strengths? You can just belt it out.
I have determination and ambition on behalf of someone else.
Mm-hmm.
I have dynamic.
Anything to add?
Eileen, I forgot all of yours.
Perseverance.
Thank you.
Compassionate, results-oriented, invested, and caring.
She got a lot of them. She's good at this.
Okay, so we just did that one to model, to give you a sense of what we're doing. And we're going to go through them fairly quickly as time allows. And the one important thing I forgot to say is the person that's getting the feedback, you should jot these down because you're going to need these to then create your superpower statement. Okay. Who would like to go next? Preferably someone on the phone, like maybe Melissa. Would you be willing to share your story?
Okay. Developing a program and leading an effort to give back. Identified the need, the problem to be solved, the scope of the project, the timeline, the project milestones, skills and resources needed. Enjoyed getting others involved, seeing the impact of the program and taking it from concept to completion. Especially like doing a community or charitable project, uses my strengths to help others.
Okay, you guys just shout out what you hear.
Creative, organizational skills, compassionate, and deadline oriented.
With results oriented.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, the same thing.
Melissa, did you get that or do you need to have it repeated?
Yeah, I think I've gotten it.
Great. I said collaborative. Giving,
Strategic, did we say that already?
no.
Strategic? Organized, definitely, I think we said that.
Great. Who would like to share their story next?
Okay. So I have always had a strong commitment to the Jewish community and to Jewish continuity, and as such, I'm gonna take this off for a minute, sorry. And as such, active participation in my synagogue and in my community was really important to me when I was raising my kids, my two daughters. So in my older daughter's senior year of high school, it became clear that I should take on the presidency of my synagogue. I had the knowledge and the ability to do it because of my professional background in working for the Jewish community, and nobody else was in a position really to step up. And I wanted to show my kids who had been raised by a stay-at-home mom what it looked like to put your money where your mouth is and sort of to serve in a professional capacity, even though it was a volunteer capacity. I was running the place, you know what I mean? So I did it. I took it on and I did it for 2 years. And I manned a 300-member synagogue with 2 schools, staff, a board, and executive committee. I moved the organization forward. We raised money. We increased membership. We systemized a lot of the projects and programs, which had been very kind of scattershot, and it gave me a great deal of pride.
Let's hear what we heard.
Value and mission driven.
Committed leadership. Motivated.
Took risks.
Dedicated.
Oh God, how are you supposed to really?
I know. Committed,
I had,
I committed.
compassion.
forward thinking.
I had compassion, strong desire to lead, driven.
Is it confident?
Mhm.
Yeah.
All right, I got one.
You did it. Good job.
Not very good at this. but I got one.
Organizational skills. And leading by example for your daughters.
Yeah, that was important. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, Dan, would you share your story?
Sure. I think mine's gonna be pretty different, but all right. So I guess my story is, I guess I give a little bit of background before I get into it, because I didn't go in as in depth as everyone else, but I used to be a harbor master up in Provincetown, so some of the stuff I did there I was proud about, so that will make sense. Probably the thing I was most proud about was pulling a blue shark out of the rocks on the Cape. So what I was proud about was, I mean, it was a high pressure kind of event, so having the ability to control the boat to get to where I had to, going into the water, putting a rope around its head and then pulling it out of the rocks. And then I was also proud that, you know, it was out and we didn't hurt it and it was fun.
So I have compassionate, skilled, and brave.
I have brave.
Compassionate.
Determined.
Focused. And environmentally conscious.
Perform under pressure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's good.
that's a good one.
Animal care.
Perseverance. I don't know if someone said that.
Masterful. Good.
That's amazing. That's
That's a
so
good one.
foreign to anything I could ever conceive of doing.
Yeah, I didn't, yeah. Your stories are a lot different than mine, I guess.
Well, that's
No,
good.
that's fabulous.
You're, one of these things in this room is not like the others. I don't know. We each bring our own things.
But looking for an opportunity to share a story like that in an interview
Yeah.
will make you memorable.
Well, usually on my resume, I have harbor master. And when I go and sit down in front of people, they think I'm like a 70-year-old man.
Yeah.
So they always ask about it.
Yeah,
Did
So I
you
just
say
kept it.
harbor master? Is that what you
Mhm.
said? Yeah,
cool.
very cool.
Very good. Who else would like to share?
I'll go. I didn't know exactly what to write. So one of the things I'm most proud of is my career. More specifically, early on, I was not satisfied with being just an RN and set my sights much higher. Even with personal limitations, I worked extremely hard and overcame many adversities to achieve my goals, and never gave up along the way. Consequently, I obtained my goals and reached the heights of my healthcare career professionally.
I'm getting better at this. So I have ambitious, hard worker, determined, and accomplished.
Disciplined.
That's good.
Tenacious.
Self-reflective.
Like that. Perseverance.
Can you repeat yours? Because I couldn't write that fast.
Sure. Ambitious,
Mhm.
hard worker, determined, and accomplished.
Thank you.
Who would like to go next?
I'm gonna go next, so in order. Mine is not really in an essay format, it's mostly like old tags.
Yeah.
So my story is from when I passed my interior design professional exam for getting certified. So it was difficult in a couple of different ways, but the first one was because I had to study for the very first time after graduating from college, which was like 15 years later. Like I can't focus to read. Like I'd actually memorize things. So that was one of the first challenges. The next one was that it was very time consuming. So on top of a full-time, 9-to-5 job, 2 little kids, the house and everything else, I needed to take time and focus on studying. The next one was that it was expensive. It was a like in your story, it was like a multi-point exam where each one was pretty steep. So I wanted to pass it the very first time. The next one was, it was also, it was definitely very stressful, just having to do all those different things. But as I was signing up and registering and passing one section after another, it definitely gave me a great deal of, kind of like a great feeling of achievement. So it kind of helped me focus to study for the next session, for the next exam. Right, it meant that I was making progress at work and personally, and overcoming my difficulties. And it helped me learn about myself, about how much I can actually do when I really push myself.
Okay, what we hear?
Determined and able to balance and juggle many things.
Driven and motivated.
Organized, great with time management, driven and a risk taker.
Goal oriented.
We said it at the same time, Melissa.
So funny.
We've been hanging out too much
I'm
together.
gonna star by that one. Smart.
Thank you.
Great. Virginia?
Muted.
Got it. Okay. Just want to preface, for some reason, I really hate this exercise. So
Virginia, I've heard that before.
and I'm usually pretty good at these, but all right. So my pride story is creating my business. I left a very good corporate job because I had an idea for something that could solve a problem for people. And I created something out of nothing. I created a technology product. And I'm not a coder, but I was able to piece together various resources and pull it all together and created a brand new category the first of its kind, was featured at various conferences, have received multiple awards and have been featured in articles, and actually have now 5 patents under my belt. And I just really enjoy helping people save money and figure out a complex problem and simplify it for them.
I have innovative, creative, risk taker, and caring, because you cared about the people that you were working for.
I have your ability to evaluate a situation where you saw a need, and you are extremely industrious.
Thank you.
I had good sense of humor because that was, you made me chuckle when you started. Out of the box thinker, creative, risk taker, not afraid.
Built a team.
Problem solver.
Ambitious, motivated, driven, and smart. That's me.
Thank you.
Right. Do we have someone else on the video?
She
She's
had to
on.
drop,
Okay,
yeah.
okay, no worries. Did we get to you, Julie?
No, I don't think
Okay.
so. Okay. So this is just like a story. I had recently finished working with an established brand as a design manager, providing design and direction. And it was after the 2008 crash. And the collection I had provided was not able to move forward due to tightening budgets. I decided to make a big leap and start taking steps and connect with relationships I've made to date in this space, where I was living abroad in Europe. My pride story is that through much collaboration, pulling out all my strength, I was able to create a collection and my own brand, all while setting my intention to do so and bring it over to the United States to launch.
Okay.
I'd say definitely determined, passionate.
Creative.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Adventuresome. And good at networking.
It's a collaborative team builder.
Collaborative is a good word, better than good at networking.
Take that.
Relationship builder.
Global.
Adventures, did you say adventure? Oh, I forgot, so I'm gonna keep it.
It's hard to get them all down.
Yeah.
Resilient.
Yeah, resilience is a good one.
Guys. Welcome. Would you like
Like
to
I
go?
was sure, I guess it's like.
Yeah.
My favorite exercise.
No.
Um,
By the way, it's usually the most accomplished people that say that. I find that so interesting.
No, what did you say that I missed?
What if it's not her favorite?
A time when I felt deeply accomplished was when I was a marketing intern at HAYVN Incorporated, an electric manufacturing company. It was my first time in the field trying to figure out myself and my career as a writer. I walked, it took long nights to learn the terms, many questions, weekends figuring it out, and a lot of connections. I walked away not only completing 2 major projects, but I proved that I could adapt into any industry that I faced. And it was fulfilling getting that recognition from my managers at the end, and it led to a second internship that I was proud of.
Smart, perseverance.
Driven.
Introspective, accomplished.
Adaptable, creative.
I
know, right?
I know.
That's impossible.
Able to pivot.
You can watch the recording.
Or I don't know.
a fast study or a quick study?
I'm willing to take on a challenge. Did we say that already? If we did, you didn't write it, so it's still good.
Malu, did you have a story you wanted to share?
Yeah, sure, yeah.
yay.
Not my favorite like exercise either, but I'll do my best. Okay, so my pride moment, so I would moving to the US from Peru when I was 20 years old to find better opportunities for myself. What felt good about it, I was younger, I wanted to see the world, I knew it would take hard work, but I finished my undergrad here while working 3 jobs. I started my career and as a result, I changed my life and found incredible opportunities to grow personally and professionally, opportunities I would have never had or found where I grew up.
So I put brave for you too. Like I did for him, hardworking, ambitious, perseverance,
Yeah.
Driven,
Yeah.
ability to multitask.
self-reliant. Got all this?
Self-reliant.
Risk taker.
Bilingual or multilingual, I don't know.
I have curious.
Passionate, hungry for success.
Thank you.
I had fearless, determined.
I've been wondering where that accent was from.
Yeah.
I know.
Okay, so I'm particularly interested in hearing from those that felt uncomfortable with this. How did it make you feel after you got the feedback?
Pretty weird.
Uncomfortable.
Pretty weird.
I didn't vote to say I hated it, but I hated this. Now that I'm not the first one.
I think it's a bit uncomfortable because it forces you to be vulnerable and to open up and basically expose yourself to maybe feelings or thoughts that you don't generally like kind of, deal with. And as I hear the feedback, you're just not so self-aware of these attributes, right?
Right,
And
exactly.
also kind of like, do I really deserve all these nice things that people are saying about me?
You do.
The answer is yes.
Is this really about
The
me
answer is
or is it somebody else? Like,
Yeah. So that's the thing. I mean, to really be able to be your authentic self when articulating this, particularly for those of you in transition, if you're going on interviews, you have to believe it. You have to embrace it and come to terms with how you're going to get this across and share it with others so that they have an opportunity to get to know you better. And again, particularly if you're going on an interview, interviewers are basically looking to minimize their risk when they're considering you as a hire. And they're only going to know what you tell them. So if you come across as someone who isn't competent and accomplished and confident, then chances are you're not going to get the job. And oftentimes people get the job because they interview well, not necessarily because they're the best person for the job. So if you want to give yourself the very best opportunities to get what you want, whether it's the job, a relationship, to come across well in networking, it's really about finding a way to be able to articulate your superpowers. And this exercise, as painful as it is for some of us, and I think for most people, it is uncomfortable to tell a story about yourself and then have people say really nice things in return, right? But being able to get a sense as to how the external world is viewing you and your accomplishments then gives you the tools to be able to package yourself and present that when you need to. So if we can just go to.
Eileen, can I give you a quick another perspective on that?
Absolutely.
So speaking as one of the older, more experienced people in the room, I think it's fascinating to have such a range of ages and levels of experience here because whereas when I was younger, I would have had that same, this is so anxiety provoking, whatever. I'm older. I've been around for a long time, and it's very easy to beat up on yourself as an older person in the world. You feel sometimes invisible, you feel sometimes overlooked or sort of disregarded. I felt completely comfortable doing this. I felt pretty confident in what I was talking about. And as I'm listening to what you're saying, I'm thinking, okay, well, here's a kind of a cool thing about being older that I can take as part of my superpower, that I have the experience, the confidence, the comfort in myself. And, so I just wanted to kind of lay that out there for some of us who aren't new to this, but who may be struggling with the other end of the spectrum. You're offering something really valuable for that too.
Great. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, that's cool.
Good. Good. So here's what could be a great next step, bridging what you heard in the room and moving forward in your life and career with this newfound awareness that you got today. You can create your own superpower statement. And it would look like this. My superpowers are that I am, fill in the blank of what you heard today. You're creative, you're brave, you're ambitious, you're hardworking, things that you may have taken for granted, but you shouldn't. And as evidenced by, so for example, with Melissa's story, as evidenced by, the fact that I have a degree, I was able to get the job that I wanted, or that, I moved on to accomplish these other life goals, whatever they are. And I can use this way of being too. And that would be accomplish my next challenge, or to be a mentor to others, or to get the job that I really want, whatever it is. So this is what I'd like for you to reflect on based on what you've heard today. And by having a superpower statement, this is going to make it a lot easier for you to go into the next meeting, to go into the next interview. And like I said, when someone asks, what would your coworkers say about you? Or what would you consider your superpower? You don't even have to think about it. You already have your statement. The interviewer doesn't even have to ask the follow-up question, because you're laying it out for them. Here are your strengths. Here's how you're going to add value to their organization. Here's why someone wants to know you and network with you. And what I offer to all of you is, if you'd like to have a complimentary 30-minute session to refine your statement, or to think about, how am I going to use this? How can I say this in a way where I'm comfortable and really be authentic? Or if you just want to practice it with another person that's going to give you honest feedback, I will make myself available to do that with you.
Sounds good. Yeah, that's
Thank
great.
you.
Yeah,
That's
thank you.
wonderful.
That's great.